Okay, your last video for night 1 is on linear inequalities. You should be pretty familiar with inequalities already, but we're just going to go over them quickly anyway. Our first symbol we have here, this is greater than, so that's greater. This is less than. This is greater than, and then the line means are equal to. Okay, and then we have less than, are equal to. So for example, if we have 2 and 6, 2 is less than 6. Alright, if we have 6 and 6, 6 is equal to 6, obviously. If we have 7 and 3, 7 is greater than 3. Alright, and so on. So it should go like that. So, I know that some of you have probably seen before, if we have, for instance, negative 2x is greater than 6, and we divide both sides by the negative 2, the sign here ends up switching. So we will end up with x is less than negative 3. Well, why does that happen? That happens because, let's say for instance, I have negative 2 is less than 8. That is a true statement, right? But what if I multiply both sides by a negative 1? If I left the sign the way it was facing, I would have 2 is less than negative 8. Well, that is not a true statement. That doesn't work. That is why whenever we're multiplying or dividing by a negative number, the sign must switch. So 2 is greater than negative 8. That is a true statement. So just remember, it's very important that whenever you multiply or divide by a negative number, the sign flips. Okay? So we're going to look at these few examples, and then I'm going to let you try a few and we'll be done. This video should be relatively short. Okay? So let's look at the first one. We have negative d over 13 is less than or equal to negative 4. Alright, so I have two options for this one. I can either, since I've got this 13 on the bottom, I need to get rid of it. So I can multiply both sides by the denominator here, which is 13. So if we did that, we'll multiply this side by 13, multiply this side by 13. These cancel, and I have negative d is less than or equal to negative 4 times 13, which is negative 52. Okay? And then I still have a negative d. Remember, whenever you're solving, you want to end up with the positive variable, alright? So if I multiply both sides now by a negative 1, and flip the sign, because I'm multiplying by a negative, I end up with d is greater than or equal to 52. So that's the first option. Now, some of you may have said, well, in the original problem, I can just say that's negative 13, which you can, because on a fraction, the negative can go to either the top or the bottom, just not both. Okay, so if you did it that way, then you just have to multiply each side by negative 13. Those cancel, and it's only one step. D is greater than or equal to a positive 52. Okay? So let's look at the second one now. This one involves a little more steps. It's a multi-step problem. So, first step should always be to get your two variables together. Okay? So if we subtract 6y from each side, these cancel. I'm left with negative 8 is less than or equal to 3y plus 2. Okay, remember, the inequalities is just like an equal sign. The only time we'll ever do anything to it is when we multiply or divide by a negative. Now we need to get our numbers on the same side. So let's subtract both sides by 2. These cancel, and I have negative 10 is less than or equal to 3y. Last step is to isolate the y, so divide both sides by 3. These cancel, and y is greater than or equal to negative 10 over 3. That would be your final answer. I know that negative 10 over 3 is not a pretty number, but if you were to put it in your calculator, you just get some really long decimal. It's better to leave it as an exact number and as a fraction. Okay, so now what I want you to do is pause the video, try these two problems, and when you hit unpause, I'll have all of my work and the correct answers on there. So pause. Okay, so here are the correct answers to those two problems. In the first one, all you had to do was distribute and go from there. The second one, you had to remember to flip your sign. So here our signs have changed because we multiplied by a negative number. So if you got confused with either one of those problems, we'll talk about them first thing in class tomorrow. I will see you on day 2. Bye.